Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In his brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Let's sing. Stand if you want. Sit. Let's pretend we're all together. Go ahead and sing this opening hymn.
Come
So welcome to the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge. My name is Nathan. I'm your associate minister. Today's service, all of the content is going to be offered by Reverend Eric Posa, your interim senior minister. We have, just real briefly, a social justice meeting Monday at 6:30. You can find out more information on the church's website. And if you're not getting our emails, that gives you all the links to everything, including after the service, there's a coffee hour. You can come to that. There's a conversation with me Monday. You could come to that. There's all sorts of really cool, well, the conversation with me is not that cool, but most of the things are pretty cool, and you could come to that. If you are a visitor, whatever that looks like in these stupid times, we're glad that you're with us. You can find out more about the church from the website and email membership at unitarianchurchbr.com to get more information. We offer these roots classes that we're going to have every other month, but we want to know you're with us. So let us know. Reach out. Come watch this. This Sunday, we're going to try something a little different for some technical reasons. We're not going to have the phone number for texting stones. Instead, during the stones ritual, we're going to ask people just to type their stones into the chat. And also, next week, we're going to have a pirate service. So get ready for that. Enjoy. Dress as piratey as you want in your living rooms. All right, we have now a lesson from our own Director of Family Ministry, Kathy Smith.
Good morning. The lesson this morning is a series of pictures, a little different from how we usually do it. I'm going to show you some pictures. I'm curious if you will see what they have in common with each other and why I might have picked these pictures. Now, this first one is a fish, a particular kind of fish called a salmon. And the next picture is a butterfly. It's called a monarch butterfly. They were really common in Nevada where I grew up. Saw them every spring and summer. I wonder what a salmon and a butterfly have in common with each other. This next picture is of a bird. This particular kind of bird is called a swallow. I wonder what a swallow and a salmon and a monarch butterfly have to do with each other. What do they have in common? You might think you have an answer. And now we're going to add this one. A human baby. I wonder what a human baby, a swallow, a monarch butterfly, and a salmon have in common with each other. And now we're going to add this one. That's another human being. This is a through hiker, meaning somebody who hikes through from the beginning of a trail to an end. I wonder what the hiker, the baby, the swallow, the monarch butterfly, and the salmon might have in common with each other. And then we have this one. Yep, this is a picture of our church with its sign out front and its big circle window. And it has something in common with all of these things. With the hiker, the baby, the swallow, the monarch butterfly, and the salmon. Now, if you figured out that the salmon, the monarch, and the swallow are all animals that have a particular set of patterns called migration patterns, you would be right. They go on those journeys, those pilgrimages, every year from one place to another. But what about the baby? Well, I think that human beings go on pilgrimages and journeys too. Babies, like all human beings, have a beginning and an eventual end, and they have places that they are going and things that they are doing in between the beginnings and the ends. And what does that have to do with the hiker? Well, the hiker's on a particular kind of journey. She knows where she's starting. She knows where she's going. She chooses what she's going to take with her. She packs her pack very carefully, actually. So unlike the baby, who doesn't really know where they're going yet, she has a very clear starting point and ending point. But just like the baby, and just like the animals on their migrations, things might happen on that journey. She might take a wrong turn. Her map might not show all of the twists and turns that the path has taken since the map was printed. She might have something happen along the way. She might take a tumble, or her pack strap might break, or there might be an unexpected weather pattern. And what does all of that have to do with the church? Well, churches, too, have journeys and destinations. Our church right now is in the middle of a particular kind of a journey called the interim period. It too has a beginning and an end, but like the baby, we don't know all of the things that are going to happen between the beginning and the ending. But we do know that our church is on a pilgrimage. We know that we are in it together. We know that we are led by skilled leaders and surrounded by each other and the support we give each other. And we can take some assurance in the rhythm of life that our church organization, like every human organization, like every human being, like every living life form on the planet, is on a journey together through this wonderful world of surprises, twists, turns, goals, beginnings, endings, and journeys together.
Today we are thinking of a member of this church, Becca Ross, who recently got married to Chorus Nylander. Like I said, we don't have the tech this week to do the stones in the way we've been doing it the past few weeks, so we're going to try it this way. Type in whatever is going on for you right in the chat on YouTube, and I'm going to place a few preemptive stones and just have some time to meditate on this. And we say together, with hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is a symbol of the power of love.
Walking was growing difficult, challenging. The flat grassland we had crossed so leisurely that morning had suddenly turned barren and uneven as we emerged from a grove of trees. Before long, the trail itself became rocky, and finding our footing was difficult. We had seen the hill in front of us for some time, but as we started uphill, the rocky terrain continued, and the climb proved steeper than we had realized. My friend Ellen was the more experienced hiker of the two of us, and she quickly passed me as our climb began. As she reached the hilltop, I called out from behind her, some complaint about how hard the path had gotten. When she replied, "Oh, but it's worth it. Wait till you see this view." The tone of wonder in her voice was so plain to hear. She was right, of course. After I caught up with her, we just stood atop that hill, the highest point for miles around, and marveled at the sight of the prairie land stretched out below us. I think that hike provided us each something else that day, a sense of serenity and healing in the midst of some emotional turmoil that we each were experiencing. In Ellen's case, it was the sudden and unexpected ending of a long-term relationship. For me, I was grieving my father. He had died just a few weeks earlier. In retrospect, I suspect we both sought some escape, looking for some moment of emotional security from the pain that both of us were feeling. It never turns out that way, does it? When our lives are in upheaval, grasping at a sense of stability, all in the end, is futile. I'm not saying we can never feel like things around us are secure, but that feeling of security, it's not something we can attain through direct means. Stability and security, they're not commodities. They're not something we can purchase with next week's groceries. They have to emerge from our feelings about what's around us, the circumstances that form our context, and the impact of the choices that we make. I've known and felt some of the frustration of instability recently. And I'm not so much talking about our recent move here from Boulder, Colorado, side of the last church I served as interim. Often moves do bring some of that sense, but we have all felt instability these last 5 to 6 months during this current pandemic. The social distancing, the virtual-only church gatherings, the shortages of consumer goods have been struggles for so many of us, and most especially the medical harm that this virus has caused. But those feelings of restlessness, of wanting everything to be settled, those feelings have been familiar companions on our own transitional stretches of our journeys from one home to the next, and they've been companions for countless congregations, including this one, during transitions between long-term ministers. The good news is that the transitions of our lives do come to an end, and they often end more or less well. In this case, it's been good for me in that this transition has ended in familiar territory, returning to the site of my internship 18 years ago. And at the same time, it has been a reminder that we have an opportunity to think about the ways in which we move through times of change in our lives. Ones that are understandable and expected, ones that catch us completely by surprise. And we'll reflect more on those in just a few minutes.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness.
Today's first reading offers words from the 19th century author, lecturer, and Unitarian raised transcendentalist Henry David Thoreau. This excerpt comes from his essay, Walking. I have met with but one or two persons in the course of my life who understood the art of walking, that is, of taking walks, who had a genius, so to speak, for sauntering, which word is beautifully derived from idle people who roved about the country in the Middle Ages and asked charity under pretense of going à la santerre, to the Holy Land. So the children exclaimed, "There goes a santerre," a saunterer, a holy lander. They who never go to the Holy Land in their walks, as they pretend, are indeed mere idlers and vagabonds. But they who do go there are saunterers in the good sense. For this is the secret of successful sauntering. One who sits still in a house all the time may be the greatest vagrant of all, but the saunterer, in the good sense, is no more vagrant than the meandering river, which is all the while sedulously seeking the shortest course to the sea. That steep, rugged climb during my hike so many years ago, it seemed far different from the sauntering that Thoreau spoke of. And certainly those national grasslands outside of Denton, Texas, that's where I spent my formative young adult years, those grasslands bear little resemblance to the biblical Holy Land. But the earlier part of our hike, with its slower and more casual pace, could easily have been labeled a saunter by any observer or passerby. And more to Thoreau's point, our reason for taking the hike, a desire to experience a more spiritual connection to the land near our homes, even as it also provided us with a sense of emotional comfort. That reason resonated with Thoreau's call to go to the Holy Land as we walked. As I think about this time of entry deserving UCBR, so much of what Thoreau was alluding to is resonating with me also. I often say that given the short period of an interim ministry, we don't have time to rush. Counterintuitive though that sounds, what I mean is that this is rather a time for accelerated but deliberate discernment of the work ahead of us, of unpacking and clarifying what it is that we will go forward with and how we will do so with the most intentionality and purpose and value and meaning possible. It also matches something else Thoreau wrote elsewhere in his journals, that his profession was always to be on the lookout, quote, to find God in nature, to know God's lurking places. So sauntering, that slow, deliberate, mindful walk, much like the mindful walk of a pilgrim or a journey through a labyrinth. It's an intentional walk through the midst of that which is divine, that which is holy, that which is of ultimate value in one's life, but also the mindful traveling has a purpose, an end goal, even though it may seem like unhurried walking about aimlessly. And there's quite a bit we can learn from Thoreau. One lesson he has particularly for us Unitarian Universalists is a caution not to be too impressed with ourselves. For contrary to popular belief, Henry David Thoreau, here's the bad news, friends, he was not a Unitarian, as we often claim. He was raised Unitarian, and his parents remained active members of First Parish Church in Concord, Massachusetts. But he rejected quickly and emphatically the church when he came of age, and he went out of his way as a young adult to make clear that he was not affiliated with any particular church or denomination. There's a humility to gain from that kind of rejection, not shame. I'm not talking about that, but reflecting on how our church today can do more to retain those that we might lose. And it's an opportunity for us to reflect on all the ways in which our lives are changing. I'm reminded of something I've been reading recently. It's from a fairly new book entitled How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going. It's by the church consultant Susan Beaumont, who I had the pleasure of meeting before. And she talks about what it is to lead in what's sometimes known as liminal times, leading in a liminal season, she calls it. And these are her words. All significant transitional experiences follow a predictable three-part process. Something comes to an end. There's an in-between season marked by disorientation, disidentification, and disengagement. And finally, often after a very long and painful struggle, something new emerges. The something new that emerges takes time to emerge, and it never follows immediately after that which has come to its end. That's her point. That we have to pass through that liminal season, that in-between time. Something has ended, but something new has not yet started. And it can feel discomforting, but when we can rest in those times, dwell in them, then moving through them gets us prepared for what's new to come, so that once it does arrive, we're better able to receive it and better able to work together into the new future that we're building. And again, I'll say more about that shortly.
So this is the time There's no smooth way to do the offering like we used to do, handing the bursar from person to person. So instead, we're doing it virtually. You can go to the website and click on Give. You can give that way. You can text this number, text the word assist to 833-796-0353. You can text assist. And this is the part where I have some sort of gimmick that convinces you to give a lot of money so this church can be sustained. I don't have a solution for that. Last year, we did a lot of this stupid thing where I told you if you had a really good offering that the Saints or LSU would win. And they did a lot, and you gave a lot. LSU still has not lost since I've started that gimmick, and it looks like they won't for a long time. So I guess I'm going to pull that magic again and ask you to give. I don't know, it doesn't feel right. Just look, this is a good church. It's an important church, and we're doing good work with you in these hard times. So we're here for you. And those who are able to help sustain it and make it happen, please give generously as this morning's offering is given and received.
Here at the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge, some of the restlessness I spoke of earlier may be familiar with you. The changes in your context, the circumstances in which you find yourself as a church, those are clear enough. And even under the best of circumstances, the departure of a settled minister, especially a long-tenured one like Steve Crump, triggers a complex set of emotions and responses. Throw a global pandemic into the mix and, well, trying to pretend that everything was simple, that would do all of us a disservice. In the conversations I've already had with church members and lay leaders here, I've heard a very natural and unsurprising mix of sadness, of happiness, of hopefulness, and anger. So in some cases over Reverend Steve Crump's retirement, in a few cases over Reverend Joel Miller's early ending of his interim ministry, and for a lot of you, over the fact that our church cannot meet in person during this time of pandemic. And it's very understandable that some of you just want this church's ministry to be settled soon, to return back to the way things used to be. But I don't know when that's going to happen. None of us knows. It's too soon. So my task at this time, while I'm beginning my service with you, is to listen. Listen to where you are as a congregation and discern along with you what aspects of your church life are best to keep steady and which are best to change to equip you for a successful relationship with my successor with your next called minister, whoever it may be. You've already taken some risks in this interim period, and we're going to take some more. Some of those may be longer-term changes. Others might be short-term experiments. Times to discern whether or not it's best to continue a change or adjust it or return to the way we've done things before. But we're walking together for a time, you and I, and there's going to be some times that walk will feel like a saunter, slow and steady. There's going to be other times when it may feel like we're rushing at breakneck speed. But either way, or in between, the thing about being on a journey is we do not stand still. And that's what the walking staff is for. Some of you remember 2 weeks ago on my first Sunday with you that I placed a walking staff in the sanctuary. You can see part of it today in the background of our shots from the sanctuary at our church building. It's a symbol that some of us interim ministers use as a reminder that we're on this journey together, that we're moving through what Susan Beaumont and others would call liminal times. And that symbol, that walking staff, will stay in the sanctuary up until the time our interim ministry together concludes, to serve as a visual reminder that our journey is moving together, but that it will come to its end. And when it does, I'll take up my walking staff and depart with it as our journeys diverge. Throughout our lives, the paths that we follow, they ebb and they flow. Smooth travels turn rocky for a time. Uphill climbs level off to offer some wonderful views. This time of interim ministry, it will be no different. Yet, for we who are people of faith, and this is as true for us as people of liberal faith as it is for the Orthodox, being people of faith means honoring the trust that we place in that which is to us of ultimate value and concern, by whatever name we know. In this church, in this community, in our individual lives, may we continue to return to the core of those ultimate commitments and values that guide our way forward. May they comfort us in rocky times and inspire our climbs to the heights of beauty, of truth, and of goodness, the heights that we all aspire to. So may it be for us all. Amen.
as you go through this week, know you don't journey alone. Know that your behaviors, the way you actually interact with other people, can save lives. It's always been true, but it's even more true now. Everyone is scared. Everybody. Whether they're being obstinate about masks or not. Go love some people so hard that the hell leaves this earth. Go in peace. Go in love. Amen.